Welcome to CarSimply News. In a groundbreaking move, UAW President Shawn Fain has initiated a simultaneous strike at General Motors, Ford, and Stellantis. Fain's demands, including 40% pay hikes and a 32-hour workweek, defy industry norms. This aggressive approach reflects a growing sentiment among American workers. The strike poses challenges for President Biden's pro-union stance and the competitiveness of the U.S. auto industry. But more on that later. The acronym, UAW, stands for United Auto Workers, an American labor union that represents workers in the United States and Southern Ontario, Canada. It is one of the largest and most diverse unions in North America, with members in virtually every sector of the economy. For context, Shawn Fain, the current president of the United Auto Workers Union, has a long history with the UAW, spanning 29 years. He was an electrician at a Stellantis automotive parts plant in Kokomo, Indiana, before becoming the union's president. In 2023, Mr. Fain won a closely contested race for the union's presidency, and his leadership has been marked by a strong stance during contract negotiations. He initially advocated for a significant wage increase of 20% for workers, followed by yearly incremental increases, totaling 46%, aligning it with CEO wage growth. The UAW later adjusted this demand to a 36% increase. Additionally, Fain is pushing for the elimination of tiered employment, the reversal of concessions made during the 2007 to 2008 financial crisis, and the restoration of cost of living adjustments and robust pensions for UAW members. His firm approach and negotiation style played a role in the authorization of the 2023 United Auto Workers strike. According to Bloomberg.com, like I was saying, they went on strike at three big car companies: General Motors, Ford, and Stellantis. Now, this isn't your everyday disagreement between workers and bosses. Mr. Fain wants to change how much these workers get paid and what their work conditions are like. It's a big deal because it could totally change how car making works in the U.S. Here's the kicker. Fain asked for some pretty jaw-dropping things. He's like, how about a 40% raise over the next 4 years? That's a lot. And he wants everyone to work just 32 hours a week, which is not how things usually go in American factories. What's also different is that normally, unions like the UAW focus on one company at a time when they want something. But this time, they're taking on all three of these giant car companies at once, which is pretty gutsy. The strike is causing some headaches, especially in making trucks and SUVs, and they're trying not to burn through all their strike funds. Fain even says, if we need to, we'll mess with those fancy pickup truck factories too. Now, this whole aggressive stance by the UAW kind of represents how workers in the US are feeling these days. They're worried about their jobs because of stuff like robots and artificial intelligence, and they're not too happy about the gap between rich and regular folks getting bigger. But here's the twist. This strike is also a bit of a headache for Joe Biden. He's all about building up the electric car and battery industry, and he's really into supporting unions. But he's got to balance that with keeping the U.S. car industry competitive, especially when China's doing some really cheap car making. Now, with all that said, what does all that mean for GM and Ford? Mary Barra, the CEO of General Motors, isn't too pleased about the United Auto Workers going on strike. According to her, GM has put a package on the table that they see as really generous. So what's in GM's offer? They've promised job security, meaning they want to make sure that workers don't have to worry about losing their jobs. They're also offering top-notch healthcare benefits. Now, when it comes to the money part, GM is proposing a 20% pay increase for the auto workers. That might sound good, but there's a bit of a twist. Mary Barra is making quite a bit herself. She's earning around $29 million this year, and her pay has gone up by 34% over the last 4 years. So it's a bit of a tricky situation. GM is saying they're offering a great deal, but some people are looking at the big boss's salaries and wondering if the workers should get an even better offer. And as expected, Jim Farley, the CEO over at Ford Motors, didn't appreciate Shawn Fain, saying that Ford wasn't taking the talks seriously. In response, Farley pointed out that Fain hadn't been actively engaged in the bargaining process, neither in person nor in spirit. It's like a classic case of differing opinions. Now, Mark Fields, A former Ford CEO is advising both sides, the company bosses and the workers, not to give in to the workers' demands in a way that could jeopardize their financial stability. It's like saying, let's not make decisions that could make things even tougher, even though the folks building the cars are making good money. So it's a bit of a standoff, with everyone looking out for their interests. It's a bit like watching a high-stakes negotiation unfold in real life. Let's see how it all pans out. In the grand scheme of things, it's a challenging juggling act for the Biden administration. Mr. Biden is striving to maintain his reputation as the most pro-union president in history, while also ensuring that the U.S. auto industry can stand its ground against those tough competitors, especially China. It's like trying to keep two plates spinning at once. As the United Auto Workers stand their ground, the future of American automaking hangs in the balance. It's a balancing act that, in some ways, brings to mind the delicate dance the Teamsters have also known well. Check this video out next to learn about what has been happening with Elon Musk and Tesla. This was CarSimply News.